We are less than 24 hours away from kickoff, Chiefs Kingdom, as the Chicago Bears are coming into Kansas City to take on the Chiefs. And for the Kansas City Chiefs, it's going to be that next man up mentality as they have key injuries going into this Sunday. We're going to discuss, and as well, there are some player prop bets that we're going to dive into and see if they will go over or under their projected yardage. Now with that, let's cut the chit chat and let's have some fun. NFL Week 3 is officially here. Well, almost. As the Chicago Bears come into Arrowhead to take on the Kansas City Chiefs, we will be going live on the channel, covering play-by-play and discussing good football. Chiefs Kingdom, I look forward to seeing you there. And so you don't miss out, please be sure to hit that bell icon because we are officially less than 24 hours, and I would not want anyone to miss out on that. Now, moving forward, the first thing we're going to focus on in this game is injuries. And boy, the injury list added up through the week. But we got the official on who's going to be out. And we're going to start with the most impactful one, and it's going to be linebacker Nick Bolton. Now, it depends on what kind of perspective you look on this. And I'm a type of guy, I like looking at the glass half full. Now, Nick Bolton is definitely a key leader for this defense, and it is going to hurt missing him. But one thing the Kansas City Chiefs focused on throughout this offseason was that linebacking core. And if anything has the most depth on this defense or overall on this team is that linebacker unit. And I'm excited to see more of Drew Tranquill coming into this game. But not just Drew Tranquill. Leo Chanel's number has been called on multiple times throughout the season, and you could tell he has taken a leap. And I expect Leo Chanel, more than Drew Tranquill, to answer the bell once again. I feel like he's going to have a lot of highlight-worthy plays to where it's going to be like, okay, Mr. Death Row himself is the truth. And I'm excited to see what he can present as the challenges keep rising and he can answer to the occasion. Now, focusing on another guy, unfortunately, Richie James Jr. was put on IR. What that means is he will miss the next 4 weeks and he will be eligible the 5th week coming in. Now, the key focus point on that is what are the Kansas City Chiefs going to do in the return game? Because as a wide receiver option, Richie James so far hasn't really presented anything. But one thing he does present is a valuable kick returner and punt returner. Again, we're going to put quotations around that because he did have a muff punt last week. But as for a secure guy, Richie James was your guy. Well, the Kansas City Chiefs answered that as they elevated Montrell Washington to the 53-man roster. Now, I don't know if he's going to be elevated for the next 4 weeks, but as for this game against Chicago, he is active. And it's crucial because one thing Montrell Washington did well with the Denver Broncos is he's a solidified punt returner and kick returner, and you best believe that will be his duties going into tomorrow. So eyes are going to be zoned in on him because going into last year and now this year with the miscues on special teams, we just want some security, something to secure our hearts and know nothing bad will happen. And if he can fair catch a ball, I'm good with it. He doesn't even have to return it all the way. Just make sure you give the offense a possession and you're not muffing any punts. So eyes will be heavily zoned into Montrell Washington going against the Chicago Bears. Now, a couple more notable injuries before we move into the player prop bets is Isaiah Pacheco and Kadarius Toney. They had promising practices on Saturday, and they look like they'll be ready to go unless something says otherwise on Sunday, but they're officially listed as a game time decision. But unless anything drastic happens, you will see both of them on the field. Now, let's talk about some overs and unders, and of course, we're going to talk about QB1 himself, Mr. Him, Patrick Mahomes. And they have his player prop bet starting off at 286.5 yards. And this one, I'm hammering the over. I think this should be a get-right game for the Kansas City Chiefs offense, and I feel like Patrick Mahomes will have himself a day. Now, I feel like last week he got over 300 yards. I feel like he can replicate that, if not exceed it. And I feel like this will be where the wide receivers will go off. Now, take that with a grain of salt when I mean go off. But I feel like for this wide receiver core, I feel like this can be their best game so far of the season. And I feel like with Travis Kelce, with a full week under his belt, getting the little rust knocked off. We're going to see him more involved too. And I just feel like this will be good things for the offense moving forward. And I feel like Mahomes should easily eclipse that 286 yards. And I don't know. It's something about the Chicago Bears. We saw it the last time they visited when the Chiefs went into Chicago. And I don't know if that's just a one-time thing. But Petty Mahomes, he was out and he was flashing the hand signals and all that. Again, I don't know if that's a one-time thing or if we're going to get Petty Mahomes. And if we do, against the Chicago Bears defense who is struggling, Mahomes will have a field day. Now, we're not really going to focus on the rushing here because with the injury to Isaiah Pacheco, the NFL player prop bets didn't really look to touch that. They probably didn't know if he was going to be active, inactive, how much his usage will be, or if Andy Reid will even use him. All of those variables probably played an expense into what they wanted to do with that, so there was nothing really touched there. But one thing that did catch my eye as we move into the wide receiving core was 2 wide receivers. And we're going to start with the rookie, Rashee Rice. They had his over-under at 17.5 yards. Now, that's the highest it's been this season. So they expect an expanded role and they expect to see him on the field. And I agree. Now, I expect him to have more than 17 yards, and with Rashee Rice, he can easily do that in one play. And as I mentioned, with the injury to Richie James, even though he hasn't been involved in the offense heavily, it's the next man up mentality, and he's going to fill a role, whether it be Rashee Rice, Justin Watson, Justin Ross. Someone's going to get those snaps in the offense. And if it's going to be Rashee Rice, best believe he's going to have a couple balls come his way, and if it's just 2 of them, it's going to be over 17 yards. So that's something to look for. And also, transitioning to Sky Moore. This is another guy who I believe he's going to build off of last week's performance. And I'm not going to be surprised if he replicates it. And the NFL player prop bets have him at, I think it was over 30 yards or 33 yards, which at this point is kind of disrespectful. And if you still see that, you got to take it. I believe anything under 50 yards for Sky Moore is a give me. And I feel like he can be in another performance with a 70 yards and a touchdown. I feel like Sky Moore is really coming into his own, and I think Chiefs Kingdom should really be excited about that. And for our last NFL player prop bets, we're going on the defensive side of the ball. And one thing we know about the Chicago Bears offensive line is they've been struggling, and Justin Fields has taken a lot of sacks this year. And I did not know where to go with this, so Chiefs Kingdom, I'm going to leave it to you. The NFL player prop bets has Chris Jones, Mike Dana, and George Karlaftis at an over-under half a sack. And those are all so tempting because I can see each and every one of them. And even if you wanted to throw Felix Anudike-Uzomah in there to get a sack, it would be really disappointing if this Chiefs defensive line just does not eat tomorrow. One of these guys are going to be very productive. I just can't put my finger on it. And I think we should not go too sexy. We should not overlook it. It'll probably be Chris Jones. But with Mike Dana, with George Karlaftis, and even Felix Anudike-Uzomah, they have been productive. They have had a purpose on this defensive line. And it wouldn't shock me if any one of these 4 guys have a day. But with that, Chiefs Kingdom, we are going to wrap up this video. Again, the question I have for you guys with the defensive line, who is going to be the one to lead the Chiefs in sacks tomorrow? Let me know in the comments down below. Also, please be sure to subscribe to the channel because I will keep you up to date on anything Kansas City Chiefs related that you do not want to miss out on. And with that, I'm taking out. Y'all take care. Peace.